Alright, so this is going to be the official review of the 2018 Ram 1500 Express Quad Cab 4-wheel drive. We'll start with the exterior of the vehicle and then we'll go to the interior. The exterior color here is granite crystal metallic clear coat. It has the 5.7 Hemi V8 and it is equipped with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Alright, so we got the official window sticker here, and this is wife approved. So the base price of the truck is going to be $34,495, and if we look at the total price here, get zoomed in a little better. There's your window sticker of $43,115. So I know there's been a lot of debate when I posted the video on the what I paid for this truck video. So this is a Ram, like I said, Quad Cab Express. Standard equipment is listed on the left, and then we got optional equipment here. So we got rear floor mats. It says 17 by 7-inch wheels, but that's deleted because it has the Express value package. So if we get down to right here where it says value package of $21.95, that's where you get your rear view, day, night mirror, remote keyless entry, 20-inch by 9-inch aluminum chrome clad wheels, the all-season tires, 5-inch touchscreen, Uconnect, Sirius, and then it's got the 392 rear axle. It's got an anti-spin differential rear axle, 5.7 Hemi of course, LED bed lights. Apparently the tires maybe are different. It's got the class 4 receiver hitch, and then it's got locking lug nuts. So total price on this truck, window sticker, was $43,115. Alright, so as we look through it here, everything on the outside of the vehicle I pretty much like. There's nothing that I really don't like about it. There's a few things I would have did differently if I could. Obviously I like the color. I picked it out. It's kind of like a charcoal gray with some metallic in it. Looks nice. I wanted the quad cab, which is the smaller of their extended cab 4-door packages or whatever. It obviously had to have these wheels because these wheels just look amazing on here. It just got the right amount of shine. Coming around to the back here, it's got a locking tailgate. That wasn't really that big of a deal. I could have not had that and been fine with it, but that's just one of the options it has. It also has a backup camera, which I never use for actually backing up, but if you're backing up to the trailer, it is spot on. You can get the ball right underneath the trailer tongue, so that way that's really nice. I never had that before. I didn't get it with the spray-in bed liner because that would have been an additional cost. At some point I may get it put in. Right now I'm just using a rubber cow mat. If you do take off the back tailgate, there is some electrical connections because you got the locking actuator in the tailgate as well as the camera, so you have to take that out, and there's a plug that you put in so that the connection stays clean. The LED bed lights are in the back here, and it's activated by this switch, or whenever you open up the doors they come on. That I really didn't need. It just came on this truck. It's nice, but I could see it getting broke. If you ever haul anything in here, that'd be the first thing to break off. And when I had somebody look at it, they're like, oh, these are gonna break off right away. And I said, yep, that was my first thought. So like I said, it's 4-wheel drive, which is really nice. It's got stainless tip dual exhaust. I like the fact that the bumper is also matching the paint. It's color matched. To me, it just gives it kind of a under the radar type sport look. I didn't want a chrome bumper. Then coming underneath here is the differential. Like I said, that's a 392. It's an anti-spin rear axle, they call it. So basically both wheels will spin if you get in any type of loose material. Comes with a temporary spare So it's not a full-size regular, it says temporary on it. So it's pretty snappy. Those 392 gears do a really good job towing. The towing capacity of this truck is over 10,000 pounds. I think the most I've had is probably, I'd say maybe 5, probably not even that, probably less than that. I think they say you shouldn't tow more than like 75% of your maximum towing capacity on any vehicle. 392 gears is fine. Like, you set your cruise, the truck just does its thing. Does a pretty good job. With gas mileage, the best I've done so far is 18.5 miles per gallon, and that's when I'm running highway at about 70 miles an hour. In the city it definitely does not do as well, and it does a lot of shifting. With that 8-speed you go through a lot of gears. I think you'll go through about 4 or 5 gears in town, and I'd say that's up to about 35 miles an hour. An exterior here, I didn't get the tow mirrors. I was kind of worried that this truck not having them, that'd be an issue, but these mirrors are more than big enough to see the trailer that I tow. They also are heated, which is nice. They do have the fold-away design as well, so if you need to fold them in for something, that's not power. The mirror itself is power, but the folding option isn't. So then if we come around to the front here, it's got some nice badging again. The hood's got just a little bit of a cowl to it, which kind of gives it that sport appearance too. Truck sounds absolutely phenomenal when it runs. It's got the right exhaust. I wouldn't want it any louder than what it is. And again, the grille is not chrome, the front bumper's not chrome. It's all color matched, which is what I think is a real nice aggressive sport look. Alright, so we're looking at the 5.7 Hemi. I have done a video on how to change oil. It's not too bad. Like I said, the thing's got a lot of power. I did talk with a guy who has a 2017 5.7 Hemi with 392 gears. He's got the larger cab configuration. It isn't a quad cab. Whatever the larger cab configuration is what he has. And he was saying, I thought he said he got like 23 highway. So I don't know, my truck's got a shade over 5,000 miles on it, so maybe the mileage will go up. Like I was saying, city mileage definitely is not as good as highway. Highway, it goes up as soon as you start. As soon as you start driving, the mileage goes up when you're on the highway, which is nice. But in the city, it does a lot of shifting. So nothing too spectacular here under the hood. Alright, so we'll start it up here and we're going to move to the interior, but I just wanted you to kind of get an idea of what the exhaust note sounds like. Hopefully we don't get too much input on our audio that it distorts, so we'll try it here. Alright, so looking in the back here, this would be in the quad cab part. You got power window here, door panel, it's pretty plain, which it should be. Seat here in the back, not a lot of leg room. The seats are put back all the way in the front, so that's the amount of leg room you have. Not a whole heck of a lot, but for hauling some smaller kids around, it works pretty good. Seat does fold up. Got plenty of storage underneath there for your snow brush, jumper cables, probably some chains or straps if you wanted to. Cup holders here are kind of weak. They could have did a better job with that. But again, this is the express package, so things are kept on the cheap side. Alright, so looking at the driver's side door panel, you got your standard kind of power windows here. Front's back. The fronts are both auto up and down. Your mirror adjustment. Lock for the windows, and then your power lock. Again, the panel's pretty plain. It does have a generous size map pocket here and a decent size spot to put a cup or something like that. Like I said, this one came with floor mats. Seat is non-power. let's hop in. Alright, so I got the air conditioning on because it is extremely warm for me in Wisconsin. It's 81, but it's extremely humid. In the next couple days it's going to be up in the 90s. So, looking at the cluster here for the dash, you got what looks like analog gauges that are probably electronically driven. I like that. And then if we go through kind of like the message center here, so that's like kind of your standard mile per hour readout, which is digital. And then if we go back into this screen, so this gives you more of more choices there, and it also gives you what your radios. So my radio is set to XM 60s on 6 right now. That's what this top one is. So you can turn this off, you can get into your screen setup. There's no messages about anything not working. Trailer tow, if we go into that, it just says there's not a trailer connected, your gain is set to 4. If we go up, this is just your trip meters A and B. Fuel economy, let's see what it says. So 18, it's gone down because I'm just idling here. But like I said, the best I've done is 18.5. So, and it gives you a range, so we got 134 miles left, and we're at, total mileage for the truck is 5469. So usually when I'm towing, I'll have it set to vehicle information, and it'll tell you what your trans temperature is. That's really the only thing I'm concerned about. Coolant temperature, you got oil temp, oil pressure. And that gives you your idle time, so there's been 13 hours of idling, and drive time there's been 124 hours. PSI for tires, so you got 42 in the front, 45, 44, and 43. And then it'll take you through each one of those things we saw, the transmission, oil, and all that, and it gives you just that as a gauge. And that tells you what our oil life is there. Battery voltage, and then we're back to that main screen. So really, like I said, when I'm towing, I'll have that open up. Otherwise, I just leave it on fuel economy. I don't really use the speedometer function because I like the analog looking gauge. Yeah, we're losing mileage here as we sit and idle. So yeah, those are kind of the gauges here on the interior. Okay, a big lacking feature that really surprises me this truck doesn't have, even though it's the basic one, there's no steering wheel controls for the radio. There's no way of adjusting the volume. Like, volume would be huge on the steering wheel, you'd think. The last 3 or 4 cars I had, and one of them was a Crown Vic, we had a Subaru, even my Nissan Xterra, which is pretty basic, that has steering wheel controls for the radio. You got controls for your transmission up and down, and then these are all for your cruise. This is all going to be for that message center, and then Bluetooth. Again, you got it for Bluetooth, but you don't have volume control for the radio. Obviously, the more expensive trucks would have that. Looking over here for headlights. So I usually just got it set to auto, but the up button here is going to be off. And then this would be just park lamps, and that would be your headlamps on. And then to turn your fog lights on, you're just going to push this button. So you can have fog lights and park lights on without having the headlights. This is to turn the bed lights on if you want them on. That's of course just for dimming. You do have tilt steering. This is a pretty plain knob for your windshield wipers. Nothing too particular, and then it also does your high and low beam. Come over here, this is going to be for the ignition, and we'll take a closer look at that. So we got panic button, unlock and lock, and then if you look at this little part here, you actually slide this over and then a key comes out. So that's got to be in order to start or operate the truck. But if for some reason something gets locked out, I think you can use this to unlock something. I think that's what the dealer was explaining. Alright, so for the radio, again, I have no complaints about this. I didn't need a touch screen, but That's basically the only way you can get this is with this touchscreen. They do make a touchscreen in their more expensive trucks. It's like a, I don't know, a 12 or 15 inch screen. It's ridiculous. This is more than adequate. Like I said, the only thing I don't like is that the fact there's no steering wheel controls. You always have to reach over to your volume button. But otherwise, this is pretty easy to use. I still got the subscription to Sirius, so I use it. Really, Sirius isn't that great in my mind. Or Sirius XM, I think they're combined. Sometimes I'll listen to this 70s on the 7. It's alright. Same thing with the 60s on 6. And then, what is there? 25 is like classic rewind, and I think there's like a, yeah, classic vinyl. There's some decent, there's a Fleetwood Mac channel. A lot of the times I would just listen to Howard Stern. I can listen to him probably about 80% of the time. Sometimes it's at 20% where it's just ridiculous and I can't listen to it. Other times it's good, or sometimes he just has a guest on that he interviews that's just not interesting to listen to. Alright, so the other thing I'm not impressed with is obviously how you select gears. I don't know why Dodge does this, but they did. My dad had an old Plymouth, I think, and it was a push button transmission. We're talking like probably early 70s or late 60s, and it was on the left side of the steering wheel where you pushed it, and the car was nothing but problems. So I don't know why Dodge always has to do something odd. Why not just put a column shifter on instead of doing this? There is a slight delay in the transmission when you're switching from park to drive. Obviously you can't do it unless you have your foot on the brake. Four-wheel drive controls are standard, just like you would expect. This has got a four-wheel drive high lock, so when you put this in 4 high, you lose some of your turning radius, and all four wheels are receiving power. If this truck had the four-wheel drive auto, then it acted more like a all-wheel drive, and it only gives power to the front when needed. And then this is 4 low, just like you'd have in your old pickup trucks, where when you put it in like 4 low, you lock in the hubs. It's 4 low. You only use that if you're like pulling out a stump or something seriously off-road where you need some good amount of torque. Coming over here, we got the trailer tow, integrated trailer tow brake controller. This is good. Like, I'm glad it's integrated and it's part of the vehicle. It works just as it should. I like it. Traction control off. I never use that. Tow haul button. I use it every time I tow. It will cause the transmission to shift earlier when you're downshifting. So it almost is like using the transmission like a brake. Otherwise, it'll wind the transmission up pretty good when it's got a load on. Working the air conditioning controls, I did learn, like, I couldn't figure out where the max AC was. I kept pressing this button and I'm like, what the heck? Why? There's got to be like a normal and then like a max AC. So the way this one works, when you push it, that's your normal. And then when you turn it to this last notch, then it turns on the max AC, which turns on the circulation inside the vehicle or whatever. Just standard climate controls. They're pretty easy to operate. I have done this a couple times, trying to change the gear. It's just weird that it's round. This is for your hazard lights. Decent amount of storage again. This is usually where I put my wallet. I always keep a tape measure with me, but this is it's pretty deep, so you can get a lot of stuff in there if you need to. It's got a little place on top here. I'm not sure if that's like to set your phone in, maybe it's for your GPS too. I don't know. I always have mine on the windshield. Dash is nice and big, so if you want to put a bunch of papers and stuff, it's kind of recessed down in here so you can load some stuff up. Over here is a nice area if you keep safety glasses or sunglasses. I like that. Glove box too is decent size. Got a decent amount of stuff in there. The one thing too that it is lacking, it gives you a USB port. That really should be a 12 volt outlet power point instead of a USB. This one here is switched with the key. This one over here should be constant power 12 volt, so when the key is off it's still on. That would be a nice feature instead of having a USB. Because if you want to run like an inverter or something, the only one you have is the one that's over here. I'm not sure why they had to have this charging USB here. Just good little storage area here for stuff. You can put pens or pencils in there. It's pretty deep. It goes back quite a ways. Right below here is where the outlet would be if you had the inverter in. I've thought about putting it in, but I like the idea of having a portable inverter so I can move it from car to car. Over on the passenger side door here, there's a small compartment right there for something. And again, it's got the same compartment below the vent. And it's got a nice size, so if you carry these wet wipes, which I do, you can throw those in the door, gloves, maps, whatever you use. So the center does flip up, so you can fit 6 people in here. We usually leave this down. This is absolutely amazing that there's 3 cup holders. 2 is never enough, especially if you have a passenger with you. And like I said, I like to keep my wet wipes so if I want to wash my hands, I always got those with me. It's kind of perfect to have it right there in the center. Usually the way I roll is with my phone up like that, and then I just got my container of wet wipes, and then if you got a water bottle or some sort of drink in there, that's good. This here inside, a lot of room here. We got a flashlight in here, buck knife, decent sized pair of binoculars, so there's a lot of storage space in here. And then again, it's got another charging port for the USB, and that one is constant. So actually I take that back. There should have been a 12 volt hot power point in here instead of this USB, and this USB here would be the one that's then switched with the key. So for some reason the 2018 models, they took out the power point that was in here and replaced it with a constant hot USB. So I would prefer to have a 12 volt, but it's not a huge deal. I just don't know why you would put this in, because you could plug in a USB into a 12 volt power point. This is for the radio, so it's USB. I got some tunes loaded up on a thumb drive there, and then you got also a auxiliary port if you want to run like a iPod or your phone or whatever through. This is absolutely amazing that this mirror still uses the old flip technology for when you want it to dim. I had an auto dim mirror in my Crown Victoria, and I'm trying to think if I had one in another car. It never gets as dark as this, and I had a truck, a 79 Ford F100 that had this type of setup, and it worked perfect, and I was like, why get away from that? I mean, it's not too much effort to do this. And there's really nothing that can go wrong with it electronically. You know, really you'd have zero issue with that. The less electronics you have in a vehicle, the less headache you're going to have later down the road. Looking above here, we got some just push map lights. Those work out pretty well. And then we got very generic visor with no mirror. You can unpin it, and then it does slide, so it will slide out, so that way it's nice. It covers the full way, but I mean that 50-cent mirror that they didn't put on there, I'd like to know what that actually saved them in the long run there. Passenger side, they do have a mirror, so we spent the extra 50 cents and added a mirror over there. It's not lighted though. Do have some coat hooks in the back here. There's a decent sized dome light. Another coat hook on the other side here. So, and it has, you know, all the safety stuff. It's got side curtain airbags, all that type of thing, front airbags. So other than that, like I said, there's very few things I don't like about it, but where they really missed hard was not having steering wheel controls for the radio. I don't know why that was such a big deal not to have that. And then the constant hot 12 volt power point. Those two things, this would be the perfect truck. There's absolutely nothing else that I would want with it. It's got everything it should. The one thing I want to note The tow haul button on here, somebody was saying if you turn on your tow haul button, it won't throw the engine into the where it goes into 4 cylinders instead of 8 to save on fuel economy or whatever. I think it's called the eco mode. That's not true, because I was towing my trailer with a good load of firewood on it, and I had it in tow haul, and the eco light would still come on and it would go into 4 cylinders if you weren't under a heavy load. So that's not true. Whoever said that was saying that's a way of bypassing that so the truck doesn't go into 4 cylinders and it stays in 8 all the time. That's not true. That does not work. At least on this model it doesn't. So I don't really mind it. I mean, that's fine. So, oh, the other thing is there is a slight delay on the horn. It must run through like a body control module instead of being like on a relay. So when you press it, it must get the signal from the body control module and then go to the horn, so there is a slight delay. So other than that, I like it. I like it a lot. The family likes it. We drive it more than what we should. It's got a lot of miles on it already for 2018. So, alright, that's going to be it for now.